But we're expecting to hear from the current president tonight. I hope that he'll clear some of this up. But if, in fact, he does speak tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern and he tells us that he dropped out simply because he thought he was going to lose, well, that's, again, another notch on the belt for the party that believes in democracy and they want to.
So apparently it's undemocratic to put a better candidate in. So if he's only going to drop out because he heard he was losing, that's apparently, according to Tommy Laren, undemocratic. Not sure how she gets there. She does say the words, though, Chewy, which means something.
Well, that's, again, another notch on the belt for the party that believes in democracy and they want to uphold it at all costs. I mean, dropping out 100 days before a general election because you're losing doesn't exactly scream democracy to me, Piers. But
It means you don't understand democracy, love. Sorry.
Tell you this, he owes the American people a lot of answers. Vice President Kamala Harris owes the people a lot of answers. What did she know? She apparently has little lunchy lunches with Joe Biden often. She's obviously seen the cognitive slippage. So we need to hear from her too. And we can't just move on. I know that Democrats want to just move on to 100 days of.
She's literally saying Republicans will not move on past Biden dropping out. We will not move on. She's literally saying it.
And we can't just move on. I know that Democrats want to just move on to 100 days of Operation Coconut Tree Brat Kamala, but we still have a lot of questions and we deserve answers. They subverted the entire primary process. They should be in the hot seat for that, Piers.
So this is what the right's doing. The right want to spend time debating how dare Joe Biden drop out, and now Kamala Harris, the presumptive nominee, is spending her time smashing Donald Trump. And here's the other thing. I always thought if I was ever on a panel like this in this situation, sometimes you see yourself there, you could just simply go, you guys are correct, right? Joe Biden was forced out. Heavy hands were laid and Joe Biden was pushed out the door. And what's your point? You think you're going to win on Joe Biden shouldn't be there. I mean, Kamala Harris shouldn't be there. Joe Biden should be. Because even if what you're saying is completely correct, you've now got to focus on Kamala Harris. And for some reason you can't. And surely there might be some reasons around that.
I think that the most devastating revelation there is that the vice president has lunches with the president.
Lunchy lunches. Apparently they're lunchy lunches.
I can see why that's so absolutely devastating to the Republicans' case.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. I've seen this comment. I've even seen, a friend of mine on Facebook who's in the States. He kind of floated up something similar, sort of going, well, I don't agree that this is the democratic process. And it's like, dude, this is how you get Trump. Like, you don't have to, is she better than Trump? That's what the contest is.
Yeah.
And if you want to give away some of the Democratic time to put a better candidate forward, put a better argument than Trump is, and you want them to tear at each other for a couple of weeks while a bunch of candidates fight for it this close to the election, well, yeah, sure. But that's how you end up with Trump.
Yeah. And just remember, when people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. If they were like, I'm so glad Joe Biden dropped out because now it's going to be an easier path to a Trump victory, they wouldn't be complaining. Like, why are they complaining? What are they actually saying? They're trying to find any reason to put forward an argument that shouldn't be Harris. That's it. Why not? Because they know. They know Harris is a harder beat. Even with all the, the positive vibes from the world that Donald Trump's got recently with the assassination attempt, even with all of that going for him, that Kamala Harris is a much harder beat. And so they're looking for a way. I don't know who they're selling this to because it's only their base that's going to buy into this.
Just before we carry on.
Yep.
There's a couple of people watching that are trying very, very hard to get through the auto moderator.
Okay.
And can I just give them a wee tip? Calling the two of us spastics probably isn't going to go through.
Probably
nor
not.
is calling every left voter with a rotten brain not going to work. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to scream at your TV otherwise. But if you want to debate, maybe bring something a little bit better.
Or get on Discord
Just
and we'll talk to you shortly. Look, okay, Okay, perfect way that you always introduce these unwittingly to get into the conversation as it went on to part 2 with Brian Tyler Cohen. Now, it's like the right's going culture wars, unfair, culture wars, unfair. And the left at the moment is going fact. And it's exactly what he does here to Piers Morgan.
Brian, it seems to be a question of unity. One trick that Kamala Harris missed in her speech, it was not a bad speech at all. But one thing she didn't do, she didn't allude to the assassination attempt on Trump. And it's only been 9 days since someone tried to murder Donald Trump and actually shot him in the ear, killing him by 1/4 of an inch. Would it not have been a smart move in between calling him, a sexual predator and a con man and a fake and blah, 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 very ad hominem stuff? Would it not have been a smart move in terms of unity had she just taken a moment to acknowledge the assassination attempt and say how pleased she was that he survived it? Something of that nature.
Piers, I find it so bizarre that the onus is always on the Democrats, it's always on the adults in the room to create unity. Where was everybody for the last 6 years calling for unity when Donald Trump was president? And, as far as the violence is concerned, I feel like any effort to try to pin, again, the onus on Democrats in terms of lowering the temperature in this country is just a testament to the fact that the Republicans are graded on the curve. Remember, it was not the Democrats. While we're talking about political violence, it wasn't the Democrats who laughed at Paul Pelosi being bludgeoned with a hammer. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who called for military tribunals for Liz Cheney. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who laughed at a kidnapping plot against Gretchen Whitmer. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who called for General Mark Milley to be executed. That was Donald Trump.
When you look at Tommy Lahiran's picture there, all I can imagine inside her brain is that's all I can imagine, all I can see.
Wasn't Democrats who posted a baseball bat photo with Alvin Bragg and threatened
No, Piers.
So in all of these examples, Piers, it is not the Democrats who've done this. It's not the Democrats who've validated the use of political violence as a tool in this country, and it shouldn't be on the Democrats all of a sudden to be the adults in the room.
All right, Brian, to a point, Lord Copper, as we would say in the UK, right? It is the Democrats who for 8 years have screamed that he's Adolf Hitler. That's fairly violent rhetoric.
It's actually not true. We showed this. It's not true. Mostly this is coming from podcasters, comedians, and announcers are likening him and his actions and the words he's saying to things that Hitler said. Right, that's mostly what it is. Whereas on the right, it's all the Republican lawmakers, all the governors and senators who are calling people on the left groomers and pedophiles and stuff. So this is a line from Morgan that comes out several times, and it's infinitely inaccurate.
You're comparing him directly
to
an absolute genocidal maniac who murdered 12 million people, including 6 million Jews in a Holocaust. So when you do that is violent rhetoric.
Piers, if Donald Trump acts like a fascist, it is not the Democrats' fault for calling him a fascist.
You're saying he is?
That is his
Hitler? He is Hitler?
No, absolutely not. But I'm saying he does act like a fascist. He does want to consolidate power in the executive branch. He does want to send the military into American cities. He does want to.
You have no problem comparing him to Adolf Hitler.
Just doesn't listen.
I am calling him a fascist. That's what I'm doing.
So he just doesn't listen. And what can you say? And yes, I saw someone there say MAGA Barbie's looking well pissed. When you accidentally get the wrong guest on, and he's done it several times, that's what comes of it.